It is called a freak-off. This alleged sex performance that is at the center of this criminal case facing the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs.
I am trying to wrap my brain around this. No, not that Diddy had rules for his freak-offs, but the fact that the New York Post interviewed a former employee of Diddy.
New details about sick things Diddy forced people to do at his freak-offs have just come out, and let me tell you, Diddy is one disgusting man. From checking the weight of all the girls before they entered his freak-offs to making guys take Viagra so they could perform all night, Diddy's disgusting desires truly had no limits. So join me today as we look into all the shocking rules and requirements Diddy enforced at his infamous parties. Now, just when you think you have heard all the sick and disgusting things Diddy has ever done, more shocking details emerge which make you wonder how Diddy got away with this for so long. Now, even though most of the key details surrounding Diddy's case have been kept a secret by the police, Diddy had been doing so many disgusting things that I am pretty sure even get shocked when more stuff emerges, and this time is no different. You see, in a recent exclusive interview, the New York Post managed to talk to someone hired at one of Diddy's events, and what they had to say was pretty shocking. So as it turns out, Diddy had a certain list of requirements for people attending his parties. According to the source, these requirements were non-negotiable, and Diddy didn't want any of them to be broken. Firstly, Diddy had a strict rule of who could be allowed into his parties and what they looked like. This rule in particular seemed to target the females coming into these infamous freak-offs. Diddy allegedly put a rule in place that no one above 140 pounds was to be allowed inside his parties. Diddy was so particular about this rule that he would have a planner at the door with a weighing scale to ensure that no woman above 140 pounds could enter. Just so you can understand how Diddy was strict about this rule, the party planner that the Post talked to said that she literally had to always have a weighing scale in her car just in case. We would do a weigh-in if necessary. The girls had to be young and hot, so I always had a scale nearby in case I needed to make sure. The number was 140 pounds, but if a girl was really tall, there was a little bit of discretion involved. And get this, Diddy also allegedly had a rule that no females attending his parties were to be allowed in if they had any flabs or cellulite. Diddy wanted people, especially women, who fit a certain type of image in his head, and he wouldn't settle for anything else. The Post also reported that women who were overly tattooed and had too many piercings were also not allowed into these freak-offs. But the requirements don't stop there. Get this, no girls with short hair were to be allowed in, and when Diddy entered these infamous parties, all he wanted to see were young, hot women. Now, how young, you might ask? Well, when it comes to Diddy, you know the answer to this question. Allegedly, Diddy had a don't ask, don't tell policy at his parties. If the girl was judged to be hot enough, she was allowed to enter despite her age. It was don't ask, don't tell. At the time, I was really young myself, and I honestly thought that we weren't asking their age because of drinking laws. I never stayed around for the freak-offs and had no idea that these girls were expected to have sex with people. Now, the source that the Post talked to worked for Diddy from 2004 to 2005, so you can just imagine how long Diddy was doing all these unspeakable things. Anyways, even though Diddy reportedly made it a point not to check IDs at his parties, he made it a point to check everything else. Reportedly, there was also a very strict dress code that people had to follow, which included no pants, no jeans, no flat shoes, and every single girl walking into his party had to wear a party dress, preferably an extremely short one that barely covered her behind but did not go any longer than her mid-thigh. By now, you would be thinking that the list of requirements from Diddy would be over, but you would be extremely mistaken. Diddy also made a rule that every single girl, without exception, had to wear high stilettos and they had to be showing some chest. So if you see one of the numerous pictures coming out from Diddy's parties and people meet these shocking requirements, then you are probably looking at a picture taken at a freak-off. Now, the source talked to another woman who happened to be a dancer at Diddy's 2005 after party. The source said that she got paid $250 to perform at the after party, and when that was done, she was offered another $1,000 to go to Diddy's freak-offs, but she got weirded out. It felt shady, so I didn't go, but other girls did and then really wouldn't talk about what happened there. Now, the Post also talked to a couple of male escorts who worked and these freak-offs, and let me tell you, these guys were more than happy to talk. According to the Post source, when Diddy hired these male escorts, they were required to perform anytime and all the time, and when a person, for one reason or another, was called upon, they were quickly thrown out of the freak-off and weren't even paid for the time and work they had done up to that point. Now, because of this, the escorts were encouraged to take Viagra and Cialis before the parties to ensure they didn't get kicked out. Now, these were not the only substances Diddy wanted distributed at his events. According to a lawsuit filed by Lil Rod, Diddy's former producer, all employees from the butler to the chef and even the housekeepers were required to walk around with a pouch of the substance. Now, surprisingly, Diddy's lawyer was quick to dismiss these claims, saying, "Mr. Jones, aka Lil Rod, is nothing more than a con man, shamelessly looking for an easy and wholly undeserved payday. We have overwhelming, indisputable proof that that his claims are complete lies. Our attempts to share this proof with Mr. Jones' attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, have been ignored, as Mr. Blackburn has refused to return our calls. We look forward to addressing these ridiculous claims in court and intend to take all appropriate action against all who are attempting to peddle. Now, despite doing all these sick things, the police were initially finding it difficult to bring up any charges against Diddy, but then the infamous video of Diddy and Cassie in the hotel lobby got leaked and the whole world just turned on Diddy. According to Diddy, the leak wasn't so accidental. Diddy alleges that the feds were behind the leak. So because of this, the feds have been able to build a huge case against Diddy. One of the cases against Diddy is by an unnamed woman who claimed that Diddy assaulted her when she was just 19 and then threatened to end her if she talked. Now, the reason this person wanted to stay anonymous was that she feared that Diddy would follow and throw on his threats, as he has been rumored to do so many times. However, that case might have just gotten a bit complicated because a judge has recently ruled that that woman has to reveal herself publicly for the case to move on. The judge argued that the woman's lawyer didn't argue a strong enough case against Diddy's ability to cause harm to the Jane Doe. The judge further stated that even though Diddy is not a good guy, by law his team has a right to know who is suing him and investigate the claims leveled against Diddy. Defendants have a right to defend themselves, including by investigating plaintiff, and the people have a right to know who is using their courts. Plaintiff has not carried her burden to show that she is entitled to the exceptional remedy of anonymity. Now, when the news of this latest chapter of Diddy's scandals hit the internet, people went wild. Just take a look at these reactions. I hope that law enforcement does not allow this to be swept under the rug and holds all who were involved in their despicable behavior accountable regardless of their status or position in society. What is also very disturbing is all the people that knew what was happening and ignored this. Combs had millions of dollars that cannot buy morals and decency. Maybe he can share a cell with R. Kelly. Whatever you want to call him and his cohorts, including A-listers, should be put away for life and take all their monies and properties. It's a disgrace that those that use the political Me Too movement are silent when one or more of their buddies are being accused of these atrocities. It sounds more like a healthy list instead of a sick list, as the Post described it, but Diddler shouldn't ever see the light of day again. I'd bet he is stressed as HL right now, sitting in jail as one sledgehammer after another continues to drop on him. But what about his conspirators? You know, he had to have a lot of help and complicity in setting up all of these events. How about all of the celebrities that were at the parties and engaging in this behavior? Should they not be held accountable? Now, what do y'all think about these shocking revelations about Diddy and his requirements? Do you think the other people involved in these parties should be exposed? Do let me know your opinion in the comments, and don't go anywhere because this story is just getting started.